Alright, we're live, but I have not told anyone that we're live because I'm having trouble with my lag here. So I want to make sure that the stream actually looks good before. Okay, so it says excellent connection because last time there was a lot of lag and it was not ideal. I can't figure out why this camera here's got so much lag, but I think it's tolerable, hopefully. So let me just keep doing this a little bit. See, it's laggy, but it's good enough, I guess. I would really like to be able to solve this problem. I'm going to try a couple more things, as long as we don't have anyone here. If you're watching a past broadcast, you may as well just skip forward until I've either figured it out or given up. It says I've dropped 0 frames. So I think it must be the phone. I don't understand. It's like, it's not awful, but it's not great. I've got preview, scale to window, source projector, scale, filtering, blending mode, deinterlacing, show, order, transform, properties. Yeah, I can't figure this out. If it's really bad, please let me know in the comments if you're here. Let me check my own voice. Yeah, I can't figure this out. So let me see. If it's really bad, please let me know in the comments. Just make sure that check my own voice. Yeah, I can't stream looks okay. In terms of, yeah, it's not laggy in any of the other ones. So I guess we'll just go with it for now. I'll try to solve it for next time. So, first thing I gotta do, since we're gonna be doing some fun stuff today, I'm not streaming on Instagram this time, and the reason for that is it's just too complicated to try to do 2 streams at the same time, especially when I didn't prepare this stream. I'm just kind of having fun today, but who knows, maybe it'll turn out to be the best stream yet. So, what we're gonna do first, we need to plug in our roaster and calibrate OmniFlux. OmniFlux actually is getting an update to its procedures, trying to make sure that it's as nice to use as possible before we launch it. So that's why I'm doing all this testing here. So first I am going to turn on the machine, but I do not want it to heat yet. Boom. The new calibration procedure, we'll not worry about that. But currently, since it's not updated yet, I gotta do the old calibration procedure, so I do need to adjust, sneak through there, I do need to adjust the, I do need to calibrate now before we start everything else, before I heat the machine. But we got lots of stuff to do, and so we're not gonna be doing that much waiting. We've got Rubik's Cubes to solve. We've got CoffeeOS to use. And basically my plan for today is I'm going to roast and do a lot of testing at the same time, because I want to get my Kinu M68 all set up in CoffeeOS using my real-time circumstances. And it's cold today, as you can see, but hopefully the roasting will warm up my bedroom. And yeah, so to get started, whoops, that's backwards. To get started, the first thing, I don't need that quite yet. I need to switch OmniFlux on, and I need to put this into dark mode, and calibrate OmniFlux. Let's put it on dark mode, display, dark mode, that way you guys can see better. I'm going to sneak by here, sorry about that. Let me make sure we are good on, yeah. So you can see what's going on here. You can see what's going on here. So OmniFlux, is that straight on there? Can you see that properly? Yeah, you can see it. Okay, so OmniFlux connects to the settings, whoops, settings, device settings, connections, Airwave connect. We're going to connect to our Airwave here, so Airwave is going to go, hey, connected. And then we are going to switch into auto mode from manual mode. Boom. And we'll just turn it on right away because we don't have to control it manually then. This can go down because it doesn't matter. Because the calibrate OmniFlux profile is set to not heat. So we can get a sample of our beans real quick. I'm going to turn on Omics. I don't need to measure the beans before I calibrate, so I'm going to calibrate first. Damn it, I bumped this. I didn't need to do that. Okay. Yeah, we're okay. Okay, so I'm going to get a quick sample, but I'm not going to test it until after I calibrate. So let me just scoop some beans. I've still got quite a lot of this copy left, and I've still got quite a lot of experiments left, so we've got a lot of stuff to do. So I can dump this in here. And then at the same time, the calibration procedure for OmniFlux, I need to take this guy here, this plate, and we can pop it down on the table here real quick. I'm going to move this here. And we need some green coffee so that we can measure our green coffee's color. Actually, you know what? I don't need to do that. Sweet. I just remembered I wrote it down. I'm a genius. So if I just go over to my notebook over here, I've already measured the color of this coffee. It is 126.2. Genius. Alright, let me close up the coffee then, because I don't need to let it dry out. And then I can come around to the other side here. Oh wait, no I can't, sorry. I'm all over the place. Okay, so Airwave is connected. Let's go back, and we're going to go calibrate. Roaster Vision, green, 126.2, done. And then our roasted sample, let's use one I've already measured the color of. That's a 66, I'm actually going to want to drink that. Let's do this one because this one's quite dark. So this is a 40. So we're going to use that to calibrate. So we'll come back over here and we're going to go, this is 40, done, done, next. Okay, we are aligned properly, 32.6 centimeters. Okay, charge my green sample. Oh, but I am not lined up properly actually, hold on. How did I get so out of alignment? I must have bumped it. It needs to be about right there. Okay, can you still see that on the screen though? I'm going to have to move the camera to match that move, and we're okay. Sweet. Okay, so don't bump that. And we will drop our sample and record. So we're recording the color of our green coffee. Recorded. Okay, drop the green sample. Boom. I can actually pour this back into here, but let me get my my standard plate so that I don't spill everywhere. Need this guy. sample ready for testing. We'll dump all that in, and we've got these new things. So if you're in the market at all for anything at this point, and you happen to be watching this before December 1st, the end of Cyber Monday, we've got our, look, a roasted bean. We've got our sale going on. So you can get a lot of good deals, and one of those good deals is you can get Airwave and Omics, the roast control system, and it will come with the new sample prep module. We call it the bean sweeper, because it's been newly designed so that you don't spill beans everywhere, and you get a really, really, really consistent setup here. So you just pop it on top, you spin it, and unlike the old version, they pop out the side. Let me get one bean in there. And there we go. Okay, sample prepped. Let's pop that guy in here. I'm going to let it sit for a little bit so it acclimates to its climate inside of there. And while we do that, I'm sticking with the Dennis profile. I found that of all of the ChatGPTs and all of the playing arounds that I did, the one that Dennis made for me worked the best. Oh, I'm still in the middle of calibration here. Whoops. Okay, so while we're doing that, let's charge our 40 agtron roasted sample. It is clogged. Hold on. And make sure that all the beans drop in there. Come on. Go in. Come on. Drop down. Drop down. Come on. Should have poured slower. You don't usually pour roasted beans into your coffee roasting. Although some people do when they're re-roasting. Alright, now we get it. Okay, let's record the color of our roasted sample. And calibrating. Okay, finish. Drop these. I discovered a technique. Check this out. Pop this off the top here. Put it onto my can. And then dump my beans in. Put this guy back. Pick up the few beans that I dropped. And then as we lift this up, rotate it around, and there we go. And just like that, we're not only calibrated, but we are also ready for some slightly darker roasts so that we can have a delightful affogato. I'll have to make the ice cream later, but you get the idea. Okay, so let's start heating. First thing I need to do here, I'm going to go back to my roast curves here. And I'm going to, this was the one that was directly his. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to directly assign this to my machine over my ChatGPT curve. It's alright, we're assigned. And then I'm going to go up here, sync. And I'm going to select Dennis's Kaku curve. And just like that, we are now heating. And we are not killing the circuit, which means that we're doing well. Okay! Yo! What's that device that I'm aiming at the roast window? I haven't seen it in the D-Fluid store. It's because it's not available yet. The reason that I'm doing, well, one of the reasons I'm doing a live stream, this is OmniFlux. And it is our roast tracker, so it will plot your roast color over time as you're roasting, and we're still in the testing phase and working out all the kinks to make sure it's really nice to use when it finally is in the store for you to buy. So we're playing around with it today, as well as playing around with CoffeeOS. So while our machine heats, I'm going to get started on the second thing that I plan to do. In fact, I wonder, can I make this bigger so that I can see what you say better? No, I can just make it wider. That's not helpful. Okay. Well, that's okay. I will go over here. I am going to give, I don't want that off screen. Okay. Give that a test. And while we do that, 9.3% moisture. You're getting quite low. I've had this coffee too long. I should have been roasting more. Ooh, I'm starting to smell the machine heating up. So I am going to add my Kinu M68 into my CoffeeOS so that I can test properly and see what all of the grind settings are. But the first thing I have to do is figure out what the coarsest setting is, because it's the kind of grinder that just falls apart, and like one click before it falls apart is way too coarse to ever reasonably use, and it's like larger, it's like half a bean. So let me see, you say, do you have an estimated price and when it will be available? I don't have the answer to either of those questions. The estimated price will be between the price of Omni and Omix. I can tell you that for sure. So somewhere between like 1,000 and 2,500, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm not in charge of setting the price. I just know that's like the range. In terms of, what was the second question? When? Early next year, end of this year range. It's depending on the, we've got some fancy new sensors going in that this model doesn't have. So I'm not sure what the time frame is on getting that all set up. And it depends on how successful the testing is. It might be a little bit of a delay, but very soon I'll have a more concrete answer for you. Okay, so I'm going to create a new grinder here, and there is a small, it's not a bug, it's a oversight that needs to be fixed. When you create a new grinder, let's see, it starts at 0, the max number on my Kinu M68, it goes from 0 to 9, so the last number is 9. Clicks, there are clicks in between, so 4 clicks in between each number. Rotations, there are many, so the total positions is what I have to figure out. And I don't quite know the answer, so what I'm going to have to do to find the answer is, I know that it goes at least about 500, so we've, sorry, not 500. Wait, yeah, it's about 50 clicks per rotation. So we're at 1 rotation now, so it's 100, 150. I'm going to take this out. One time I had the burrs fall out into here, and it was so hard to get it back. Okay, I just lost count though, so let me go back. My apologies! Thanks for talking, taking the time to answer. Of course, that's why I'm here. Okay, so we're at 0 right now. So we're at 0, so this is going to be, oh, I'm screwed. Okay, so we're at 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. I think that's about as far as it goes. I think it only goes a little bit further than 250. No, that'd be 300. Whoa. 350. 400. Goes way further than I thought. 450. Oh, it does go to 500. Huh, I forgot about that. So it goes, it's like barely to 500. But the problem here is that 500 is way, way, way too coarse. So, seems the device requires a lot of setting. One can use it when measuring the green color, but can measure the roast coffee color, the difference in the roasting color, how well it's chemically effective for it. Production roast, what's your ideal customer then? Okay, so that's actually the having to do that type of calibration setup in our own personal use, we're like, okay, it's a little bit cumbersome because you don't want to have to do that every time. But so before I explain the new calibration process, if you were to set it up like this, and then you just, like, in a production environment, like, you're not constantly, you're not home, you have your equipment set up and then you just leave it. So if it's not, like, if you have it set up and it's there and you're good, you don't need to frequently do that. You don't have to calibrate it each time, as long as it's aimed in the same angle and the same distance away. And so the way that the arm is set up, so it's in like a fixed spot, so you can take OmniFlux off and do other stuff with it, and then when you put it back on, it's in the same spot. And so it's calibrated and ready to go. But we are working on a procedure to where you don't need to calibrate it, like, pretty much at all, and instead what you do is it essentially self-calibrates while roasting according to what your results are. And so you'll get like a much easier process. You just start up and go, and the first roast is like what's used to calibrate it. And so if you notice, like, oh, I accidentally changed positions, or I bumped it and it's no longer there and it's off and I couldn't get the right position again, you can very easily just run the roast and then measure the final color, and you're already, it'll like compensate for the difference and recalibrate itself. So it's actually quite an easy procedure. And it also will be able to tell you, like, oh, you're not at the same angle, like, move it slightly this direction, or move it slightly that way, or move it a little bit closer, move it a little bit further away, because it can remember where its calibrated position was. So it can guide you just to be like, there's the spot. And then because the direction that it goes through the glass has like a significant impact on the visible color. It's just like how light works. And so, yeah, it's got to be at the same angle. Ideal customer, though, pretty much anyone that needs that kind of consistency. So, like, whether it's a home setup and you're just trying to, like, roast according to the color curves as a home roaster, that's an option. Or if you're in a production roast and, like, you have a sample roasting setup and you want to convert that to your production roasting setup, and so you want to roast by color so that you can see how quickly the color changes rather than going based on temperature, where you have two machines that are at different temperature. Like, the way that they measure temperature is different. So it's a useful way to roast by color instead of by temperature. What was I saying about CoffeeOS? Oh, right. So I gotta test and see what the smallest reasonably useful grind size is. So I'm gonna use this awful Sprouts coffee. I bought this right before ROEST and D-Fluid did this partnership. And so I didn't have the roasting machine. I bought this as my last coffee because it said premium organic, and I was like, huh. I like Sprouts Farmers Market. I shop there regularly, and so I want to give it a try. And it's truly awful. Don't buy Sprouts coffee. Buy everything else, vegetables, fruits, all good from Sprouts, not coffee. So, I'm going to dump a couple pieces of this gross coffee into here at setting 500. And we will see what the results are. What-oh, we've got, I'm getting a call from the CEO of D-Fluid, and I can't answer it. Let me send him a message. Hold on a second. I gotta say... I gotta send him the link to the stream so that he can watch. Hold on, let me figure out where the share link is. Okay, I sent it to him. Okay, so now the first thing, so we're gonna grind. So this thing is so far down at this point that I can't even really get the cup in. So clearly they don't reasonably expect you to be using this grind setting. But I'm gonna put my hand here to catch what comes out. And yeah, it's basically garbage. Like I can't. That's not a reasonable grind size, so I'm not gonna include that. I'm gonna dump it behind me here. And instead we're gonna go for, I'm gonna go around 50, so we're at 450. Let's get that all out. We're at 450, and let's see if that makes a difference. So let's get a few more kernels. Pop them in here, and we will grind them out. Okay, now it looks like this. Equally unusable, not even for cold brew. So 450 is out. All right, let's run a few more through. Make sure everything's out. So we're at 450, not reasonable. Let's go all the way back around. We're at 400. Wait, that was the number. So is it 500? No. 450? No. This is my third time. Damn it! I just lost track of where I am. Probably shouldn't have done that. I believe that this is 400. I guess I'll just count on the way back, but yeah. So I think this is 400. And still unusable. So 400 is unusable, so let's go down to 350. There we go. I'm getting coffee everywhere. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so 350, let's see how that goes. Okay, it sounds like we're getting closer, but still no. 350 is unusable. So let's try 300. Got some coffee stuck in there, so it's hard to change grind settings. There we go. Okay, we're at 300. Let's see. Grind a few beans at 300. Can I even fit this under there now? Now that I've got this mound of coffee under here. Alright, let's see. Can we get it in here? Better. Okay, so let's see. Maybe this is a realistic grind size. Size 300. Still no. We've got some fines there, and then we've got these massive chunks that are like totally unreasonable and like, look at this. No. So 300, no. So no 300. Let's try 250. Okay, drop in our, this is gonna, seems to be approaching correct. Alright, what it was, 250. Still not quite. We're at, maybe, I still think this is kind of unusable. And you've got chunks that are like, look at this one. That just seems unreasonable. I don't think that would make good cold brew. So let's try 200. But it seems like 200 might actually be, where we're at, the correct answer. 200. Pour in a couple beans. Alright. $200. still, look, we got a lot of fines here. But we also, look at this. That's not right. So this is setting 200. I'm going down to 150. Before I go down to 150, let me just check and make sure. Let me see what Mr. CEO wanted. It just says I didn't answer the call. Okay, that's okay. Let me go back to openness. Cool. Okay, good. Okay, let me go down to 150. Got some coffee stuck in there. There we go. Ground it through. Alright, this might be the final correct answer. 150. Alright, let's see. Yep, that looks like real. That actually looks... I think we can go coarser than that. Now we're in like real grind size realm. So that's definitely very coarse and designed for cold brew. But so 150, maybe like 150 and a half. So let me go to 5. Coarsest grind size, 175. You know what? Let's go with yes. That seems exactly right. 175. Okay? Now let me just make sure at 175 that's correct. So that would mean if this is 175, that means that this at 0 is 150. Grind all this through. 150. And then this would be 100. And then once more way around would be 50, 50, and then once more around would be 0. That's where we're at. Okay, so 175 is their coarsest grind size. So if 175 is the coarsest, that means that our middle grind size is 175 is the coarsest. That means like 120, 130, 135. It's like 135. Wait, not 150. Wait, my math sucks. All right, we're using a calculator. I can't even divide by 2 properly while I'm on stream. 175 divided by 2, so 80. Let's go 88. Perfect. Luckiest number in China, 88. Okay, let's test our water activity. And then we'll start a roast, and while we roast, we'll do some particle testing with CoffeeOS. Okay, let's get ready. You ready here? Let me go back. Okay. Alright, so OmniFlex is all set up. Airway is set up. We are at temperature. 141.5 is our drum temp right now, which seems pretty good. Our water activity is pretty high, which is ideal because that means that our coffee still got good flavor. So we're at 0.545. Not too shabby. Okay, are we ready to roast? My goal for this is to roast it pretty dark. I'm thinking like not too dark, but I want to go like, actually I do kind of want to go down to like a 30 the first time. Alright, we're going down to a 30. I have to make sure my target beam temperature is not 210, it's 250, because I want to go really dark on the first one. It's going to set the smoke alarm off because Airwave will totally remove all of the smoke and be totally fine. But then when I drop the beams, the little bit of smoke that comes out sets the fire alarm off. So, that's okay. Are we ready? I think we are. So we're going to go to Measure, Roast Track. We're ready to track. It will start automatically, and we are good to go. Can we start? Yep. .122.6. So yeah, not all the beams are exactly the same color, so you get a little bit of a fluctuation. That's what a distribution is. Okay, so in the meantime, while that roasts, actually I should probably change the curves so that we can watch them go. Let me go to here, and we're going to change it to live view so we can see what's going on. Is there a way to make it fit? I don't know why I can't fit. Well, that's okay. Back to OBS. Okay, we can see everything, and let's get back to testing. So, if we know that 175 is our coarsest, I need to measure so the reason I said that there was an oversight here is because you need to measure the first three in order to set up the grinder. So your coarsest, so your finest, your middle, and your coarsest. And that way it can set up the whole grinder. But you should be able to access the particle analyzer from here, and at the moment you can't. So you can directly import one test result by using the auto retrieve button here. But that's not ideal because I want to do many tests. And so what I'm going to do, don't need to connect to OmniFlux right now. No, I'm connected. Omics 2, I don't need that either. I need the particle analyzer. And I'm just going to open a new sample, and I'm just going to call it M68 0. No. I'm going to start with the courses. So we'll call this 175, which is actually, when I say 175, that's like 175 total clicks. But we've got clicks between numbers and rotations, and so the way that we go, the way that that CoffeeOS writes everything is so that all grinders can be comparable with each other very easily. You have rotations, then numbers, then clicks. So how many times do you rotate it around first? Then we go to how many whole numbers that you can see written on here, and then how many steps in between a whole number. So if we want 175, that's 50 is one rotation, so 50, 100, 50, and then 25. So 3 full rotations. Wait, sorry. 100, 150. Yeah, and then 25. So it's going to be 2 numbers, and then, oh wait, sorry. Wait, 75. 75 is, so 100. So wait, we go all the way around once, so that's 50. All the way around twice, that's 100. All the way around 3 times, that's 150. And then, let's just do that first. So 3 rotations. 1 rotation. 2 rotations, 3 rotations, and so we're at 150, 155, 160, 165, 170, 175. Okay, so that's 3 rotations, 5 numbers, 0 clicks. 350. And what I'm going to do, first I'm going to check on this and see how we're doing. So yeah, so you can see our color curve. As the beans get yellower, they actually get lighter in color because as they lose their moisture, they go from like a greenish to like a yellowish. And so when you convert that to Agtron, it actually gets higher. And then it starts to drop as it starts that Maillard reaction. So, yeah, so if I look at the front of, actually I can just look at the screen, I don't have to, so we're at 4 minutes, 39 seconds. And we're still at our yellowing phase. Okay, it changed. My target temp should be 250. I guess you have to do it after you start. Alright, I'm doing that so that it doesn't drop automatically because I want to get really down there. It's like 30 Agtron. Okay, so we're good. So you can see it's auto-marked the yellowing, the dry end phase. So like the beans are officially yellow and they're now dropping. And while they're dropping, what I'm going to do here, clear this out. I'm going to brush this out. So we've got as few contamination particles as possible. And then I'm going to measure one bean at each setting so that I can get the entire distribution of one bean. So I'm actually going to switch my sieve stack here. So if I go up here to sieve stacks, I've got just a fine stack here. I'm going to go to my Stacko pancakes. That's actually pretty good. We've got like all the way from 63 to 2000, but I'm actually also going to add 2500 and 2360. And I'm going to remove most of the... no. Okay, so Stacko pancakes. I'm going to select Stacko pancakes. Okay. So let's connect to Omni. We're dropping fast on this one. I gotta keep an eye on that. I'm gonna drop my one bean in here. I'm gonna clean out this guy so that it's totally empty. I'm spilling particles everywhere. Probably should have done that over something. Okay. And then pop that guy in here. Let me just check on our... We are at 100 Agtron right now, 100.4. Not too shabby. It's pretty ideal, actually. Okay. $97. Okay, so we still got a little bit of time. So before we get down too far, I'm going to grind this coffee, this one bean, make sure it doesn't fly out of there. So we got our entire distribution of one bean, and make sure that the whole bean comes through, that there's nothing retained. I'm going to shake this here to make sure it's retained, and then I'm going to run my finger along the bottom. Yeah, there's nothing there. So we've got our entire distribution from that grind setting in the cup right now. So it's grind setting 175 or 3 rotations, 5 numbers, 0 clicks. And you can see Airwave has kind of ramped up in fan speed a little bit. It's because we're now reaching the part where we're actually getting some smoke. Make sure I don't get coffee grounds in my Rubik's Cubes that are actually not made by Rubik's because Rubik's doesn't make good cubes. Okay, and let's put some particles on here. Those are huge. And tests. Device not connected. So we will connect. We are now connected. Test. Sweet. Okay, so 1,500 is our D50. We only have like a few massive particles on there. So you can see like they're all way up here. There are some fines down there, but most of them are way, way, way up here. Our D90 is 2143. So I'll make sure to test all the beans from that sample. We're at 76. I'm going down to 30. But we are also at 9 minutes, 20 seconds, so I'm going to increase the temps next time. Because we're only at 78 and we're getting pretty far into the roast. So in the meantime, I'm going to dump this out into my tray of grounds here. And we're going to add another test. Okay. You know what? I don't even need to, I'm just going to spread this out manually because the big particles end up getting shot so far to the side. I want to make sure they all get counted. So I'm just going to do it like that. And then test. Alright, so pretty much the same, more of that, but our D50, so now you can see it's a little different. Our D50 on that single test was 1,896. But now on CoffeeOS, they're averaged together, so our average D50 is 1699, but I can also see the results from each test here. Don't want to delete that. And look, our standard deviation is massive. Okay, so let me dump these. And then add a little bit more. We're probably getting kind of close to our drop time. That went right to the edge. I don't need that. Usually I wouldn't spread grounds this way, but for these massive, cumbersome particles that slide away too easily, I think this is the best way to do it. Alright, third test. Okay, we're at 65 agtron. So we're doing some developing time right now. I find it kind of interesting. So the cracks on this particular coffee are very subtle and not easy to hear. The roast has heard 0 cracks, but we're clearly well past first crack at this point. The bean temperature is at 206. Like this is, they usually first cracks around 200 to 203. Omniflux heard 32 cracks. So, I know we're done with first crack. I wasn't really listening. But now we are at 62 agtrons, so we still got some time. This roast is going to go on for too long. Alright, so let's clean this off and we'll do our next test. Make sure that we get every last drop. Okay, so for those particles, we're getting more into that. I want auto dispersion range, because that's like the finer particles in that whole setup. So 780 is those particles are medium fine. That's the D50, but now our total D50 is 1483. Let's clean that off. We'll do our next one. Test. And we are at 59 agtron. It's really slowing down. We're at 1346. Kind of thinking maybe I should drop it and just try again on the next one. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to raise up the raise up the, I can't think of the words, raise up the temperatures, because this is going to take way too long. We're getting down to 50, but I don't want to ruin this entirely. It's already at 14 minutes. So I think I'm just going to drop. That actually looks quite good. So OmniFlex should auto stop, which it did. Final roast color 51. So we'll let that cool for a little bit. I'm probably not going to get the smoke alarm on this one because I didn't go that dark. So let me close this. Let me let that get back. I guess I should let it down. So while we do that, I'm going to adjust that roast curve. So we need to go, let's go profiles. Let's take the Dennis profile and we will go Kaku, Dennis, hotter. Our preheat temp, I think I want to start these beans a little hotter. Maybe like 240. And then I'm going to leave this at 250 for our final because I don't want it to automatically drop. Yeah, still dropping. And then I'm just going to adjust all points here, which you can't actually see because I don't have it on the screen here, but I'm going to adjust a fixed value and we're going to bring everything up 15 degrees. Save as new, assign to machine, and we'll call it, we'll replace it with the GPT curve. Perfect, okay, let's sync. Alright, we're synced. Kaku Dennis hotter. I'm going to let that reach some equilibrium, and while I do that, I will get another sample. I don't really need to measure samples anymore because I already got the info I needed. We're at relatively low moisture, but not too bad. Disconnected, that's okay. I do still want to have a consistent sample size though, so we're still going to do our bean sweeping. So let me just pop this on here. Do our bean, whoops. Do our bean sweep. To get a nice, even, consistent prepared sample. Okay. And then we will pour this guy in. Put this back in the bag. And close it up. Okay, back over here. I'm going to let that equilibrize for a little bit. And while I do that, let us do our next test. So, and we will get rid of this. Brush. Not get contaminated with any other particles. We're getting to the end of our one single bean. We're at most of the fine particles. This is why it's really necessary to do lots of tests, because one test would not have given me a really ideal representation of what this distribution looks like, but 8 or 9 tests definitely will. So this one is a D50 of 724, which has brought our D50 down to 1,325. So let's dump that. Okay. And then what's left in here? And then what I'm also going to do, I'm going to clean off this brush by doing this. And then I'm going to brush everything in here down to the bottoms, including every last little scrunch. And I'm going to try to sweep all of that onto the tray. Okay, I'll do one more test after this one. Alright, test. Getting way lower. 457 on that one. Okay. So our total D50, we're at 1201 as our final D50. Alright, and then this is probably the last one, so we will do this. And I'm not going to have it buzz on this one, I'll just manually distribute. Otherwise, I'm going to risk losing some particles out to the far edges where it won't count them. Okay, and then I'm just going to do this. Flick the last of the particles on there, all the fines. Okay. Last one, so 8 tests per bean. 257. So our final D50 for the entire distribution of one bean at the coarsest grind setting is 1083. But our D10 is 430 and our D90 is 1720. So we got particles all the way up above 1720. Let's see, what's our largest particle size? Nope. 2360. We have 13 particles that are above 2360. We have 21 particles that are above 2000. And then 41 that are above 1700. And then we start getting into the rest of our sample. We actually had none that are 1120. And then some that are in the 1100, and then so 102 particles are larger than 850. And then as you start to get down, you get way more particles, but they actually take up way less of the distribution. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, as you get down, like we have 180, we have so many particles. We only have one-fifth of the particles are larger than 160 microns. But in total, the rest of the count of the particles is smaller than 160. But in terms of how much space they take up in the whole distribution, almost everything is larger than 1,120. So as I add sieves here, you can see the count going up. The smaller we get, the more particles that we have of those sizes. That's pretty interesting. So I can clear all right here. And if I press 63, we're at 2,310 particles, or 63 microns. But look how much of the, well, actually that's quite a few of them, but of the entire sample, it's 43% of the count, but less than 1% of the size distribution. So that's something interesting, because the size distribution is what really makes a difference when it comes to your brewing, because it's like how much of what the water is touching is particle. Okay, so now we know this is the results for our largest, or coarsest. So it was a D50 of 1,083. Now let's open a new sample, and we're going to call this one M68, setting number 88, which is 50, so let me go back down. So we're at, that makes 150, 100, 95, 90, 89, 88. Let me, we got some goop. Okay, so that's 90, 89, 88. Right there. 88. So that's our middle grind setting. So we've got 50, and then 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. Wait, what? Wait, what? 50 would be one time around. And then we go 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95. How did I get this count wrong? Wait, so this is... Let's go back all the way around to 0. Okay, so 0, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 86, 87, 88. There we go. Okay, so setting number 88 is 1 full rotation, and then 7 whole numbers, and then 3 clicks. So, yes, it's kind of annoying to convert between them, but that's why in the Grinder Manager, you can go to the clicks and just type 177 if you wanted, and it will convert it for you. Or you can just remember it in this way: how many rotations, then how many numbers, then how many clicks, and think of it like that. So it's like, I want to use this grinder. Streamed current bit rate. Oh no, I'm getting a warning. My stream's bit rate is not good. What happened? Lower than the recommended bit rate. We recommend that you use a stream bit rate of 6800. I think it's basically just because I can't do anything about that. Okay, well, sorry guys, I can't change the bit rate. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to do my same thing here. Let me make sure that I didn't lose any grounds from last time. Nothing down here, but I'm still going to do this just to be absolutely sure. Brush down everything. Make sure that this is totally empty, even though I know it is, because I just did an incredible brushing of it. Okay, so we did our first one. Now, our middle grind setting, 88. Let's get 1 bean again. And I'm going to drop it in here. But before we grind it, let's take this out. We'll put this in. And we will do our next batch of coffee. So let's restart and roast. So we're dropping at about 152 drum temp this time. Make sure that started. Yep, we good. Okay, and then are we good over here? Let's change our roast curves to what's active, live. Okay, so this time let's try to go down to 30. Extra. And we'll have to listen to the alarm, but that's okay. Okay, so put this in here. Let's grind our 1 bean. Ooh, I lost this. Let me drop that back there. Good thing I saw that. I didn't put my hand on top this time. This is my method to make sure that I don't get any retention. Because this grinder is pretty much straight through, zero retention, but obviously static electricity, so I try to make sure that everything goes through. Okay. Make sure that nothing got stuck. Okay. For middle grind setting, let's do this. How's our roast coming? We haven't changed any color yet, so nothing to do there. Okay. Test. I'm going to do this a little bit faster this time because I don't need to worry about this for a while, and I don't need to explain. So 775 for that one. Alright. Our first batch from our one bean. Alright. Our second test. You can push the button on here or on here, but I like to do it on the screen because then it's like, whoa, magic! Okay, 1039 on that one. Lots of much bigger particles this time. Okay. Next one, that's too much. I'm going to dump about half of it. That's probably actually even too little, but whatever. Too little is not a problem. Too much will give you bad results. Okay. 925. So 925, you can see lots of big particles and then a bunch of little microparticles. Yep. So well. Our average D50 right now is at 913, which is really interesting because the other one was 1083, and we are our half coarsest grind size. I think I have a feeling we're going to learn a lot from this. Either that or things are going to change as we get down to the bottom and it drags the average back down. Huh? It didn't work. Wait. It didn't do anything. Yeah, 913, I already said that. Okay, we must have just missed the button. Alright, we're approaching our yellowing point on that roast. Okay, 786 on that one. Getting a little bit finer. Okay. This is actually like the most ideal grind size for measuring with Omni because the self-distribution works flawlessly. When you get really fine, they start clumping and it doesn't work as well. And when you get really coarse, the particles kind of fly and they go everywhere, and so you don't get as good. 1013. That's exactly what the final result was for the distribution on that other one. So lots of coarse particles again. You can see that they're not clumps. Those are just actually very large particles. Okay. And then next one. I actually have a piece of chaff on that one. This grind seems pretty even. Alright, while that's going, just make sure we're at 91 agtron right now on that roast. This one average was 659. This This is what 659 looks like. There's also a piece of chaff right there. I wonder if that counted as a particle. That's okay. It's about the same size. Okay. I heard a crack. I heard 2 cracks. There's a lot more particle this time. I'm going to have to do more than 8 tests. Okay. 719 that time. Okay. Next one. Yeah, our average is down to 845, so it's starting to look a little more normal. What are we at on Agtron? We are at 78 Agtron, or 205 degrees, so we're like well into first crack. That one was 674. It's like this. Okay. 674. Let's do the next one. We're getting near the end, but still not quite. Still got a few more tests to go. Okay, 670. Nice. Okay. Our total average is at 806 right now. Okay, our running average. We're at 3,800 total particles tested. 581, we're getting smaller because we're getting down to the fines at the end. Still some large particles, but a lot more fines in there. It got stuck. We are at 53 Agtron right now, almost at 9 minutes. Okay, now we're at 9 minutes. Oh, interesting. The temperature did a severe drop in the middle. The color change is pretty consistent. We're definitely reaching second crack right now. I'm going to mark second crack. Let's see if the pressure changes at all, because I just increased the airflow by a lot. We're at 80 now. The machine still thinks we're on first crack, but I'm actually definitely at second crack now. 10 minutes. Okay, we're approaching 30 where I'm going to drop it. 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31. And that was my attempt to make it so that this alarm doesn't go off. Because if I can just get that little bit of smoke that comes out right at the beginning out and sucked up into the roast vent, then we're all good, because I'm not going to get that smoke. Oh! Nope, still happened. Sorry about that. I had to push to hush, but the button never works. Alright, I'm going to let that cool down a little bit, and we're going to go slightly lighter next time. So I don't need, I'm going to try and not let the alarm go off next time, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so that was test number 11, and I think we need to do about 13 total. So this one's going to be a small test, and then I'm going to put all the rest of the fines on it. Okay. Let's see what this test gives us. Oh, it didn't distribute. Hold on, I'm going to delete that test. Here, let me push it all back to the center. Omni will not auto-distribute if it thinks that you did it already for it. And I don't want to lose those particles, so I'm going to flick them back on. But yeah, so you want to make sure that it's right in the middle so that Omni will be like, oh, time to do my job. See? Alright, don't want you to cool down too much. Okay, before I look at that, I need to label and pour out one coffee so I have room to put the next one. So, it's not going to work. Okay, here's a container. I don't have my tape. Where's my tape? Well, first thing, I'm going to take this guy here, put him here, and then I'm just going to pour this coffee in here. In another stream, we're going to be making ice cream so that I can test these affogatos. But in the meantime, I'm just going to label. This is going to be called Dennis Affagato 1. So they're going to follow all of the roasts that happen in this stream. So Dennis Affagato 1. Let me get a lid. Where's the lid for this guy? Oh no. Where's the lid? Some of these are empty because my dad drank them. But some of these are all full. Okay, I need another lid and I don't know where to find it. So I'm going to have to steal it from another one. Okay, let me just label this guy real quick. I need to grab the tape to do so. I'll be right back. Alright, I've got some crappy tape. It's masking tape, which is what I want, but it's old masking tape, which is not what I want. But it'll do. It does the job, so we're going to have it do the job. And then let me just grab a pen from over here. Hold on. Hold on. My pen seems to have gone missing. Oh, here it is. Okay. So we're calling this, like I said, this is Dennis Affagato 1. Okay, so I'm going to put this here for now. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the second one, and then we'll get another roast prepared. I'm going to lower the temperature a slight bit because that was a 10-minute roast. Maybe that's actually, let me just check on what happened last time. Let's see. Okay, so let me swap these out because that's clearly done roasting. And let me get an empty can. Let's get our little roast guy. We're going to put this onto this can. We will pour it in here. Oh yeah, nice. We spilled 0 that time. And then we just finagle the rest of them in like that. And shazimzam. Okay. Close that up. We're going to call this Dennis Affagato Hotter. Okay. Put this next to it. And now I just need to check those roast curves and make sure that it didn't have like a temperature crash. Because if it did, what is this here? So our bean rate of rise. Oh, that's our bean rate of rise. Okay, so we didn't have a temperature crash. We all good. So I'm just going to keep the same profile. And let's just do that again. Okay. We are at temperature, so we're all good, and we can just start this roast. Let me just fill this up. Okay. Pop it on. Give it a quick bean sweep. Nice evenly prepared sample. Dump this back in the bag. Don't waste the coffee. Okay, so last time we went for Agtron 30. This time we're going for Agtron 35. So, start and go for it. I don't know why I just did that. That was not... Whoops-a-doodle! Okay, that was clearly not a roast. Let it get back up to equilibrium. Didn't need to do that. Let's probably actually put the beans in order to start that roast. Okay, and let's try it again. Oh wait, it's getting back up to 10. Alright, now he's stable. Close. Almost. Almost. Air temperature when it gets to 240, we get it. Go up. Now it's too cold. Hold on. Go back up. Stabilize, bro. You're too low. Go back up. Sorry, I'm standing in front of it. We're trying to get to 240. Right here, we're at 238. 239. And 240. Okay. Drop them beans. Alright. Airwave is still on auto, so we're all good there. I don't have to control that. And we're off to the races again. Okay, so let's finish what we were doing here. We've got 554 was our last result here. And then we just need to get our last little bit of scrounging. And test them all. So that we don't lose anything from that one bean. Okay? So, sweep onto here. actually seems to be enough to do 2 of these, but I'm not going to have it vibrate because you're already pretty spread out and this would be really moth on. We try to get it all the way back to the center. So I'm just going to do this instead. And I'm going to leave a brush in here so we don't lose any of those attached to it, and we'll do 2 tests. So this one. Okay, so that was 394. Okay, and then last one. Losing none of our beans. I just actually saw 1 particle fly out. Okay, good. I'm gonna flick these onto here. Oh, there's a lot of fine powder on there. Might even actually have to do 2. Sample prep. Okay. Test. I'm going to have to do 1 more. Alright, 360. Okay. Gotta try not to breathe. I'm gonna blow the particles everywhere. And let me just move it out from the center a little bit. Okay. Sample prep. So 15 tests this one took to get through all the beans. We're approaching our drying and this guy here. Okay. So you can see there's a clear, huge peak. What's that peak at? What is this here? We're going to have to make it so that this graph is interactive. It's above 710, probably in like the 800 range. Let's see, 300. 850, 900, 1100. It's 1100. Almost all the particles, like in terms of particle size, it's 14% of the sample is in the 1100 micron sieve. But that's only 79%. It rounds down to 0% of the actual whole sample. Fascinating. So very few particles are 1100. But it takes up the most amount of space. So our final, oops, sorry about that, our final D50 is 664. That's interesting. That's actually pretty much what I would expect. So it's like a skewed higher than halfway. It's not directly in the center. But this grinder is more geared towards espresso, and so you get more choice in the fine range and less choice in the coarse range. So clean this off in case there's any residuals. Let's not contaminate our next sample. I think we're done with that. I think we've done a pretty good job there. Let's clean this guy off. Okay, and now, let's do the next one. So that was 173. So our last one is going to be rename M68. Oops. M68 0 0 0. So whatever it's at 0. So let's tighten it as much as it'll go, all the way down to 0. Gunk in there. Alright, we are at pure 0. What are we at on our on our roast? We're trying to go for 35 Agtron, I said, and we're at 81. Okay, not too shabby. So we're a little more than halfway. It'll probably keep dropping pretty quickly. We're at 77. So let's get ready to grind our next sample. This one is going to take forever because none of them can really use the auto dispersion feature because they will just they'll just stay clumped together because it's going to be very staticky. So we're kind of on our own for this one. Yeah, that's right. Ziswan. Okay, pop that in there, and let's get our one bean. Drop it in, and grind it. And it took like 2.5 revolutions to go all the way through. This one's going to have a lot of stuff that probably sticks, so we got to make sure that we vibrate it as much as possible to get all of it out. Okay. Very fine, very fine. Okay, before we do that, let's see where we're at on the roast. With the roast, 53. Still got a little ways to go. Probably another minute. I'm going to try not to set off the fire alarm this time. Definitely its second crack. Ooh, I smell dinner and coffee. Alright, we're at 45, 44. Get ready to drop. 43, whoops, I'm so sorry about that. 42. Remember now, not every bean is at exactly the same roast level, which is why it kind of fluctuates a little bit, because each time it updates, the running average is a little bit slightly different because it's measuring different parts of different beans. 35, 30... Yeah. Let's see if we can avoid the smoke alarm. I'm going to get ready because I think it's... Yep! Always hurts my ears, the first one. Okay. The cons of roasting dark. Alright. So, our final roast. It says 36. Not too shabby. I'll let that continue to cool down, and I'm going to get the next batch ready. Okay, do a quick bean sweep. Alright, I'm going to let that get to equilibrium while we do a couple tests. Okay, let that go for a little bit, and let's do our first 0 test. So technically, this should be invisible and not actually have any coffee in it, right? Because it's ground at grind setting 0. That's a joke, obviously. But you can see how sticky the grinds are. They just glue to each other. This is going to take a while. Okay, let's spread them out. Maybe, I think if I use this brush, it's a little coarser. I might be have a little bit of an easier time because it'll just jam them apart instead of sticking to the brush. It's working pretty well. Actually worked very well. Do they stick to the brush? Oh, they don't even really stick to the brush. Oh, this is perfect. Okay. I almost blew it. That would have blown it. Okay. Test. Grind setting 000. 325. With a D10 of 128. Okay. Next. Okay. It's actually weird how well that works. And it doesn't even like stick to the brush. That's crazy. They literally just like outward. It's pretty awesome. Okay, D50 on that one is 275. So we're at an average of 300. So we've gotten 325 and 275. It is usually not that even and nice. Alright, we're probably ready to start the roast. See where we're at. We are at 240. Okay, yeah, we're exactly right. Let's swap this out so we don't screw ourselves over. Put that here for now. We got a green bean in here somehow. And then let's dump this in. Let's get OmniFlux ready. New. And here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Start automatically. We good. Okay. This time we're going to go for 40. So we did 30, 35, now we're going to do 40. if I do that hard enough, it creates enough wind that it moves the particles. Alright, this time we are at 305. Next one. I'm getting hungry. Sun's going down. Not that you can tell because I've got film lighting on me. That's way too much. Realizing that this method works really well, but it is not flawless because the bristles on this brush are all different sizes. So some of them end up getting pushed down further than other ones, which makes it so some of the particles get jammed really hard, and they're going like this, and then flying out over the side. So we're losing a few particles, but I think it's going to be good enough to give us an idea of what the actual distribution is at a specific grind size. And I can see from the color curve that we have not even started changing color yet, so I think we're all good. 280 on that one. We're getting finer and finer. Let's see how this goes with another brush. Yeah, they stick to this brush. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to take a video of that later. Okay. Test. Test. Okay. 332. That one's a little bit bigger than the last one. Alright, we are past our dry end and we are now changing color rapidly. Okay. $314. In case you want to see what that looks like. I did a much smaller test that time. I want to see if it makes a big difference. 247. Not really. We're getting to the end here. What are we at? I gotta make sure I don't. 81. Okay, we're okay. We got some time. Probably time for one more test. 238 on that one. Right. Whoop. $279. We're at 64 Agtron. Okay, 279. And this is probably the last one. Maybe not, maybe two more. Alright, we're at second crack, 224 on that one. Mark second crack. And we're at 46. Okay. And fourth side. No smoke alarm? Alright, plug in my ears. Are we gonna get smoke alarm? Yep. Okay. Smoke alarm off. At least we were prepared that time. Alright, we're going to do one more batch, and we're going to go down to 50. But in the meantime, I'm going to have to put these away and mark them. So, yeah, grab two more containers. Here. Here. Alright, we got two more containers. This is the first one. Let me close this now. Dropped like 4 beans. not a big deal. And this is Dennis Affagato Hotter 2. The problem with this old tape does this. And then I can't get the whole thing. It's really annoying. Okay. Got it. You're gonna stick this on with the lid on. That was awesome. I hope you saw that. So this is Dennis. Are there 2 N's or 1 N? I think there's 1 N in Dennis. Dennis. I might be wrong about that. I can't remember. Sorry, Dennis. Affagato. A-F-F-A-G-A-T-O. Hotter. 2. I'm going to put it right in a line with those other ones. And then this one. This is Affagato Hotter 3. It's easier to pour out of this one. Love that thing. This machine is so well designed. I've been pretty spoiled. This is the machine that I'm learning how to roast on, so start from the best. I'm never going to be able to go back down. Alright. What the heck? I'm pulling more than one layer at a time here. That's weird. Okay. So, no wonder it's so hard to pull it up. So this is Dennis Affagato Hotter 3. All right, first one was 30, second one was 35, third one was 40, fourth one was 45, and then we're going to do one more, and we're going to do a 50, and I'm going to see which one makes the best Affagato. The reason I want to do these relatively dark is because that roasty caramelized flavor that you get from darker roasts goes really well with ice cream. So why not? Okay. Here's my sample. I didn't have enough beans on this side. Okay, sample prepared. We're at 240, 154. All right, we're good. Ready to start the roast. Okay, let me dump this in here. And redo. And roast. Okay, we're good. We're good. All right, so we're dropping that at 50. So I got to pay a little bit more attention this time. That was 224. That could have been temperature or particle size, 224, but it was specifically referring to temperature. So let me make sure I got the last of the coffee from this last bean, and then we can set up our grinder. We got all the leftover fines in there. Usually quite a bit. All around the edges. Okay, there's like no coarse particles in there, so let's see what kind of results we get on this one. .205. Look at that. Basically, yeah, 100% fine. 205, 2,000 particles is done. So, .274 is our final D50 here. D10 is 98. We do have a lot of particles here that are way smaller than that. Smaller than 63, which is our smallest sieve size. Here, let me see if I can get there. Like a significant percent, so 4%, 4.5% is smaller than 63 microns. But most of our particles are in this range, and basically none are in the larger range here. So above 710 we got none. But remember, particles can be rectangles, particles can be like super flat but also very wide. Like they can be any shape essentially, which is why you can end up with particles, even though it's at 0, they can still end up coming through in different ways. And even if the birds are a certain size, there can still be thousands of particles that are smaller than that, depending on what's created when the beam breaks, when it gets crushed. So 274 is what's going to be what's our final answer here. So if I get that notebook, this Loring notebook that I got at ROEST Summit, we're starting to reach that yellowing phase. We're getting colors going up. So I'm going to write this down. I shouldn't have to do this. The only reason I have to do this is because of that oversight that we are going to fix in the next update. The setting 0 is, okay, so 0, 0, 0 is 274 D50. And then we'll go into our history here. So we've got 8 tests on the coarsest setting, 15 tests on the middle setting, and 11 tests on the finest setting. So 350 is our coarsest grind setting. 350, and it is 1083. I shouldn't have done it in that order. I'm very silly. And then 173 is 664. That is what our results were. So, what can I do with that? Now, okay, we've reached our yellowing point, so we're going to be, or like our dry end, so we're going to be first cracking soon. So, I'm going to go back here to our grinder manager. I'm going to do a new grinder, blank grinder, and we're going to rename Kinu M68. Starts at 0. 9 is our largest number. There are 4 clicks in between. Rotations are on. We can do multiple rotations, and our total number of grind settings we said was 175. So our finest grind setting was 274. I should have just been able to test right here in a mini particle analyzer and have it filled in, whatever. Our middle grind setting is 664. And our coarsest grind setting is 1083. Done. Now, a lot of people will be like, okay, for like a cold brew, you'll want like coarser, maybe like up to like 1400 microns. But remember, distribution. if your D50 is at 1400, that means you're going to have a lot of particles that are probably way bigger than that, which you don't really want. You're essentially just wasting that coffee. So either you're going to need to like sieve them out so you're only using the particles of the specific size you want, which you're probably not going to like the results of. What you really want is that distribution to be with the D50 where you want it to be, and see what kind of a distribution it is. So when I hit done here, now it's going to build that grinder. This is the Kinu M68, and I have between 0, 0, 0 and, whoops, and 3, 4, 4, and then it stops there. That's the last one. Should actually, maybe it was I did 174 grind settings instead of 175. Maybe I should fix that. I'm actually going to go back and fix that. Okay, we're at 74. I still have time. So the oversight that I made there is it starts at 0, which counts as 1, like as a grind setting. So what I actually should have done, can I edit? Oh, I can't edit this grinder. Oh, but I can't edit the total number of positions. So if I go back, Kinu M68. Okay, let me redo that. I'm going to do blank grinder, and I'm going to do max number 9. We're going to do clicks and rotations. We're going to do 4. And in total positions, we're going to do 176. And then, what was this? 274. I'm going to make sure I don't miss my cutoff point here. Where are we at? 64. Okay, the middle grind setting was 664. And the coarsest was 1083. Okay. Oh, I forgot to change the name of the grinder. $55, $53, $53, second crack. Okay, we'll definitely hit. Okay, we don't have as much smoke this time, so hopefully that result doesn't set the fire alarm off. They're still cracking in here. Okay, so I'm going to just shut down because I don't need the roast anymore. Kinu M68. 9 numbers. 4. Okay, I didn't make a mistake this time. Last time. 274. 664. No. 664. 1083. Done. Okay, so this is my grinder. So it goes from 0, 0, 0. I can go all the way to my coarsest grind setting, which is 350. That was the last one that I tested, and that was 1083. So what it does is linearly approximate everything in between. So basically every setting is like 6 microns or so. But that may not always be the case, because if you look at the curve, you can see what happens in the middle of here if I go like right around here, there's like a jump because of how the how that setting is in there. It's not perfectly linear. So what I can now do is go in and measure any of these grind settings, and each of them I can go, okay, so I've got like 677 here. I can enter into it and open the particle analyzer. I can record a bunch of data here and take hundreds of tests, and that's all going to be saved so that later on when I reopen this, I can see my distribution data for that grinder setting. And I can update that over time. And then later on you'll be able to see like what it looked like a year ago, what it looked like a day ago, what it looks like a month ago, in terms of the state of your grinder's burrs. So now I have my grinder set up. So now if I go to the grinder converter, and like on the Affagato, I have 500 microns as a setting number 26. I can go in here, go to grinder manager, and Kinu M68 is now here. That's my grinder, Kinu M68. And I can use the grinder that I just set up properly in here. So I can go all the way up to 1083 and all the way back down to, say, 274. And this will make it much easier to dial in brews because I'm using the actual situation of my actual grinder rather than trying to like approximate it based on the manufacturer saying that like when the burrs are touching, the particle size is 0. Like that's not actually how it works in real life. And so because of that, that's how it makes things much more difficult. But more fun. So I think that's everything for now. We will be coming back to the Affagato later. I'm going to make ice cream, and we will do a bunch of different versions, and we will test them all and see what makes the best Affagato. So I'm just going to bottle up our last. I'm going to do more particle testing later on different grinder settings and see how even it is across the range. But for now, I need to. I keep calling it bottle because I'm used to like kombucha. You bottle it when you're done. Okay, so it's safe to turn off. I'm going to turn this guy off. I don't need airwave anymore, so he'll cool down. I'm going to turn Omni off, and then I'm just going to dump my coffee using our genius ROEST design. Okay. And just like that, we're good. Let me just add a label. So this is Dennis, with 1 or 2 N's, I can't remember. Dennis, Affagato, hotter. Is this 3 or 4? 4. Hotter 4. And the drop was supposed to be 50. Whether I got 50 or not, I'm not exactly sure. What does OmniFlux say? 53. I might have stopped it a little bit too early. But yeah, that's all for today's stream. If you were watching and enjoyed it, I am very thankful for that. And if you watched and did not enjoy it, let me know why. And if you watched the broadcast after the fact, just to learn about OmniFlux, and to learn about, yeah, I did that on purpose. OmniFlux, I could have done, but then you wouldn't have been able to see on that screen. OmniFlux, or if you wanted to learn about anything. Oh, there's one thing! I didn't do this. I can't stop the stream, even though Ben's not watching. This is for you, Ben. So, I remember the algorithm now, but I may not even need it. But we're still going to solve the 4x4 before we end the stream, because obviously that's probably the most important thing. Now this isn't super scrambled because it's still in the position that it was when I screwed it up trying to do the parity algorithm last time, so the centers are pretty not mega screwed up, but the edges are quite screwed up, so that's still going to take some time. So the, where's the blue edge? I have to make sure that the centers are in the right place. So you see how yellow, orange, these two are lined up, but this side should be blue. Right now I have red on the opposite of green, that's not right. Okay, now let's see if we can fix our position. So we've got red, green, no, this is blue, so this should be... Okay, now the center should all be in the right place. So white, what? Oh, that's not red, so we're okay, we're correct. So yeah, now you see how this corner here, it's red goes with the red center, green goes with the green center, and white goes with the white center? That's how you know. Okay, so the next, oh, I can turn off the lift. Okay, so then, next step is to match up all of the centers. So, right now we have, sorry, not the centers, the corners. Right now we've got 1. Where is red and white, green and white? There we go. Okay. Okay, now we've got 2 centers. I mean, sorry, 2 edges. I keep saying that. 3 edges. 4 edges. 5 edges. 'I lost count. How many edges are we at? I just got another one. Okay, and last 2. Okay, all the edges are together, and then now you just gotta solve the rest of it. Okay. Oh wait, I missed an edge. Damn it! Okay, hold on one sec. Okay, one side. God, my tone is not ideal. I wish I had perfect pitch. I don't even know if that was in the right key. No parity this time. I learned the algorithm and no parity. Alright. And last, oh, nope, it's a different parity, damn it! Where you have 2 edges in the wrong place instead of 1. I don't remember how to do this parity, so I have to do a different method that may again, get screwed up. Sorry, Ben. Okay, I believe that this is the way you do it. So you go... Oh, crap. Damn it. No, okay, so you gotta switch these two, so it's... Oh, I thought I had it. I was so close. I actually... Damn. Damn. Alright, hold on one sec. I might be able to actually fix this. Parry is the worst. Okay, edges are all fixed again, except for that. Oh wait, no, there's two more. 3 more? 2 more. Where's the edge I'm missing? There. Okay, I think I got it this time. Because I think I fixed parity, but I also screwed up the rest of it. So it didn't work out. But I didn't totally screw it up. So I may be able to fix it anyway, unless I get a different parity. But those are the only two. And that one actually used to be the easier one, but I haven't done it in so long that I can't remember how to do it. Oh, damn it! Nope, I flipped it again. This is the problem if you have the centers in the wrong place. So you see how... So this edge is blue, so this side is supposed to be blue. That's the fix for it. So now it's fixed, but now I have to redo the bottom edges. You can see how out of practice I am on this. Okay, but now the bottom is solved again. Okay, last one. I think we are out of the parity woods. Not 100% sure yet. Oops. Yep. There we go. Done! If you happen to see that, give me a like and leave a comment saying that you saw it.